Well, here we are in Tacoma, Washington, and I'm here visiting my good friend and fellow Wolfhound, Joe Liebal. Joe, thank
Howdy.
you so much for allowing us to come in and talk to you today. And this is all part of the oral history project that we're doing for the platoon, Charlie
Okay.
Company, 2nd Platoon. And it's a mosaic of all the guys that served in that outfit. We're putting together a big picture of what that unit looked like over 2 or 3 year period of time. So I'm just going to start by asking you, where were you born and raised?
I was born in California, in Los Angeles, at St. Vincent's Hospital. I was raised in say, El Segundo, Santa Monica, moved up to Oxnard, Ventura. And from there I went to Utah. From there I was drafted into the military.
What part of Utah?
Snowville.
Okay.
That's a 210 population at the time. And we were starting to farm back there. Wheat farm or grain farm. And I got drafted, so that fell through my mom and my stepdad.
Were you 18?
I was 22 at the time. They tried to get me when I was 18 to draft me, but I had a deferment. I was working in an aerospace company.
Oh.
Abex Aerospace in a machine shop. I got out of school. I went to a machinist school to learn the trade. My mom worked at this machine shop, so I wanted to work there, so I went to school for it, and I became a machinist.
And so you got a deferment from that.
I got a deferment for 3 years.
How did it end? How did it wear out, or what?
Well, I got in a motorcycle accident. We started to farm, but then a car pulled out in front of me. I hit the car with my motorcycle, totaled the bike. So I had a fractured vertebrae. So I was laid up for a few months there, and then that's when I decided we went to Utah. I didn't go back to work with Utah and started to farm there. Actually, we started in the summer, planted kangaroo rats, ate our crops, so we lost out there. We were going to start another crop next year, but
Was it dry land?
Yeah. We're at the northernmost tip of Utah, 3 miles one way to the border and 19 miles the other way, and it was Idaho border there, and so we lived there until I left. Then when I come back home, I come back to California. My mom was already back in California, living in Ventura, so I got stationed in Washington here. As soon as I seen Mount Rainier and all the trees, I fell in love and I wanted to stay here.
Oh yeah.
Because I'd been to Oregon, me and my wife, on my motorcycle prior to going into service. We rode up to, I don't know, Grants Pass, I think it was. And I loved it up there. And we turned around and went back home. And I told her, I said, well, we're going to live in Oregon when I get out of service. Well, I decided to live here, so I stayed here.
So what month and year were you drafted?
It was 13th of February, 1998. No, 99.
You mean 70?
79.
No, it would be 69.
69, there you go.
Okay.
Okay, 69, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So where were you sent for basic?
Fort Ord in California.
That's where I went.
Really?
Yeah.
My sister lived in Monterey.
What a great place.
Yeah, oh, that's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Nice
so
weather.
Tell me did they bus you up there to Fort Ord?
No, we flew from Utah.
And then
We flew in, and then we were stationed there, but we had that meningitis restriction.
we did too.
So we couldn't leave the fort for the first,
8 weeks.
yeah, and then we were able to leave, so I was able to go to see my sister.
So give me your impression of basic training. First time right there when you first meet at the reception station.
I was scared. But before that, when they drafted us, they needed Marines. So they went down the line. They go, every fifth man's going to become a Marine. And we're not prejudiced. We're not going to pick you out for, the way you look
Doesn't
or
matter.
the length of your hair. Because there was only 2 of us that had long hair out of Utah, out of a couple hundred. But they went down, and I was number 5, and he just went to the next guy. And
No.
because I had hair shoulder length long and a beard, big long beard, so they just went to the next guy.
You could have been a gyrene.
I could have been, but I wasn't.
Yes.
So
Fort Ord, you got there, and so tell me about the first impression when they start yelling at you and all that.
Well,
I mean,
they start yelling at you, and then you see that some of them drill sergeants are really buttholes. You know, I guess they want to be real military and really get you trained good.
yeah.
Well, my first my sergeant, he wasn't that bad. He was a pretty nice guy. So every time you have a class, and they say, "Okay, we're gonna take a break. Light them up, get them from your friends or whatever." Well, I did smoke, so I used to go on out.
Do you
But I
remember
would
the
go-
saying, light them if you got them, bum them if you don't?
Yeah, exactly. Get them from your friend, buddy. So the sergeant used to say that, and he goes, "Any of you that want to really know what it's like, come on over, and I'll tell you. Or if you just want to grab ass like the rest of the grab assers, go over with the rest of the grab assers." He used to say.
Yeah.
So I would go over.
Was
and
this
listen.
guy a vet? Was this guy? So this was a combat veteran.
He was a combat veteran.
Yes, yes.
So I would go over and I would religiously listen to him. Now, when I was in a machine shop, I used to watch the old men, the tool and die guys, and I wanted to be one. I wanted to be when I moved up here in the woodworking, the old timers that knew how to set up the machinery,
Oh,
do
yeah.
machinery. I wanted to be one of them too. Well, I became one. I became one of them down there, and I became one up here, because I used to sit there and listen to them old men. They're smart.
Craftsman.
They're craftsmen, and that there's no old time craftsmen anymore.
I know.
Well, that's what I am. My mother made this for me, so I made the frame. Things like this wood here. This is
Yes.
This Alaska yellow cedar, Torito wood, wormwood. Now, Alaska yellow cedar in log form is worth more than red cedar. Now, down below, that's red cedar. Now, I pulled these logs out of the bay. I had a portable sawmill one time in a planer. So I cut and planed these. This is all beam stock. So I used to make spiral stairs out of wood. Well, this is laminated stock. This was left over on the beams. I resawed it and made paneling out of it.
Great. So I'm going to take you back a little
Okay.
bit here. When you were in basic, did you guys in your company and in the platoon know you were going to Vietnam?
Oh yeah,
I mean, it was pretty much just a given.
yeah. Now, if you didn't, yes, it was given that you were going to go, but if you could make all your scores
Right.
high, you could go to shake and bake school. Well, they offered me shake and bake school because all my written and physical scores, I scored 100% on
Okay.
through all of our testing. So they gave me a 3-day pass, so I was able to go down to LA to see my wife, because I married before I went in the service, because I knew I was going to go to Vietnam. Actually, I married after I got into service through basic and AIT before I went to Nam. But anyways, I went down to California, flew down there and seen my wife. Then I came back 3 days later, and when I went over to Nam, seeing as though I got 100% on all my scores, they gave me rank right away. I got E1.
But did you chose not to go to Shake and Bake?
I chose not to go to shake and
Okay.
bake.
Okay.
I thought there might be a chance they might send me someplace else. There's 1 or 2 people out of every group they were sending. Well, I just wanted to get it over with, so.
I never had that luck.
But that way you went over as E5.
Did you stay at Ord for AIT?
Yes,
Okay, so I did too.
Yes.
So I went basic and then
yes. AIT.
a weekend and then you start AIT.
Right.
Tell me about AIT.
It's basically like basic training. They teach you how to do the fighting, how to shoot, and
Multiple weapons. You got to shoot multiple weapons.
I got to shoot a lot more over in Vietnam, though.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I captured over there, I got to shot if it had bullets.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the ones we found 50 rifles one time.
Oh wow.
8-inch rounds were firing with delay charges. They were going down and blowing up caches. Well, the cache was 50 SK. I guess they were an SKS.
Yeah, they were.
Bolt action.
Yeah.
And but when you grab them, the stocks would just disintegrate. The bullets would disintegrate in your hand. They were buried for so long.
Oh my gosh.
55-gallon drums of cardboard wrapped rice inside of them, and then the outsides were wrapped in rice with card or plastic, and they were full of rice. And that's what they blew up. They were down 6-8 feet. They buried them, and that's where the weapons were. The ammo, it looked to me like there were probably some kind of boxes, wooden boxes of ammo, because everything was just color mold.
Oh my gosh.
You know, it fell apart.
Yeah.
But you open up that mess, grab it, and it just dissolved, and you have little hard things in there, and that was the lead that hadn't dissolved yet.
For heaven's
Little
sake.
pieces of lead, you know.
Wow.
But it was all so old, just disintegrating in your hands.
When you went into basic, you were a long hair.
Yeah.
Were you in physical shape?
Yes, I was in pretty good shape.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when you got out of AIT, would you say you were in pretty good?
Best shape of my life.
Yeah,
Best shape
me
I've
too.
ever.
So, okay, you got some time off after AIT.
Mhm.
Did you just go home and
I went
and hang
down
out
to Southern
and-
California to my brother's house because it's in El Segundo, and my wife came over there and stayed there with me for the however long it was.
what was their attitude about you going to Vietnam? I suppose your wife wasn't too hot on it.
No, well, it's just something I knew it was 3 years they were trying to get me, so I knew I was going to go. It was a matter of time.
And your folks, did they have much to say to you about it?
Just go, you know. My dad was in the Air Force during the Second World War, but my mom and dad split up when I was about 10 years old.
Okay.
So, and I at 10 years old, I started working, and I was supporting the family. I worked all through high school, a 40-hour job all through high school, and gave my mom the money that, you know, half the money I made. But I used to do that with my paper routes too when I was younger.
Oh, I did too. That's
And,
amazing. Yeah.
And then I used to buy my own shoes, my own pants
Yeah.
for school. But see, my father wasn't there. My mom was, and she wasn't educated, and she didn't have a very good job. You know, we didn't even have a car.
Yeah.
So,
How old were you when you got married?
22.
So, and she was 22 or
No, she was 20, I believe.
okay. So
Just
when
two
you
years
went to
younger.
Vietnam as a married guy, did you didn't get any Jody letters, did you?
What do you mean?
Dear John letters?
No.
So you weren't one of the guys that they're fairly newlywed.
No. No,
Was-
she wrote me. We wrote each other, you know, stayed like we were in love.
That's great.
Yeah, it was great, except when I come back, all the money that my paid money,
Oh, this isn't
She
gonna.
went and spent it.
This doesn't sound good.
she spent it. So I had to sell my Harley just so I could get money to move up here. I should have left her, but I didn't, you know. So anyways, I you know, sold my Harley, bought a station wagon, we moved up here, had the baby, and then she wanted to go back.
So that's your first child.
Yeah, so then she wanted to go back home, you know. She wanted to go back and live with her mom, her sisters, her brothers. So she left here, and I gave her all our savings. I was ready to buy a house. I'd saved like $5,000.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm an excellent saver. So I saved money, so I let her take it all. I shouldn't have done that, because I said, just take the savings and leave me the checking. Because I had like 300 in the checking or something. She took it all.
Was there a divorce or not?
I
You were
divorced-
still married.
Yes, I divorced her. I went and filed for divorce, and we were divorced a year later.
I see.
What was funny is the attorney says, you know, you're divorced on the same day that you were married.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
It was kind of
Coincidence.
Funny. Yeah, coincidence.
Yep. So after that, how long did it take you to remarry?
1990, I believe it was. I got married.
So it was a while.
Yeah, then it was 7 years. Got divorced, and I've been married 5 years now.
Oh yeah,
To
great,
Diane.
great. So,
But only one son. And he works, you probably heard of the Cheesecake Factory.
oh, of course.
He's the one that goes around and sets all them up.
Oh.
He works, he's a chef, and he sets up the Cheesecake Factory for the people that own it, you know. He's got a $250,000 a year job there.
Wow.
But he don't like his old man. Because his mom, when I ended up paying my child support out, and when Jonathan was 17, his mother wouldn't get a hold of me. She's a drug addict. So that's one of the reasons why I go to California. I don't want you here anymore.
Yep.
So she was into downers and barbiturates and shit. You know, I used to smoke a little pot. Big deal, you know. So anyway, she moved on down there, and she wanted child support for her other two kids by her other husband. I said, you're not getting a penny for them kids.
I mean,
I says, Jonathan, I'm sending you a check right now, and Jonathan's turning 18 in 2 days. So that's your last check, you know. Day before Christmas, he was born. So I sent that. She goes, he'll never talk to you again, I guarantee it.
Oh, jeez.
So I had a hard time getting a hold of him. Well, when he turned he went into service, and then she gave me his number. After he got out, he's supposedly working for IMO. She called me up. She used to call me up, and I couldn't understand her. She'd be so fucked up, or so drunk. So, anyways, she tells me that she's never gonna want to talk to you anymore. So I try to get a hold of him. Can't get a hold of him. Well, come some years later, my wife here got a hold of his wife through the internet, the thing they do on Facebook, and got to talking with her. Well, Jonathan's real domineering. I guess he's got to be the head honcho. Anything he says goes, and if not, he's not going to go for it. Well, them two got together and wanted to try to get us together. Well, he wasn't going for it, So finally he gets a hold of me. He comes up here and everything seems to be fine. And he calls me up one day and his wife says they're going to come up here and visit us. Now, this is after 4 years of us trying to get us to meet her. Well, he calls up, says they're not coming up. Well, what's the problem? And he goes, well, my stepdad, the one that had the 2 boys, he's getting ready to die. He's got cancer. So I'm going to take the kids to him because they got a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
Haven't seen them since the girl was a baby, or the boy was a baby. I said, well, I've never seen him. So he comes unglued. You're not fit to be a father.
What?
Yeah, he's coming unglued. What is your problem? So he hangs up on me, so that's so fine. And he tells me never to call him, never to have my wife call him or contact his wife. So, okay. So I'm not contacting him. She's going on to Facebook, and she's not getting much information, you can tell. And he's got her hushed up. Well, he calls up, and then, because I tell this to my friends, my friends have met him because I've had him up here. When he was small, I used to have him up here twice a year. Well, his mother stopped that. She wouldn't let that go no more. So he comes up. He would come up here twice a year. But she quit that, and that was a couple of years prior to him, to me telling her no more child support because he was 13 at the time. I may think of how this happened now. He, gosh, it's so hard to remember this sequence, is how it all happened. But anyways, she's against him seeing me, and so she kept him away from me to where I couldn't get a hold of him. So we didn't have the internet then. You couldn't look up people on.
Yeah.
So finally, we get a hold of each other, and he tells me, he don't want to listen. He don't want to do anything with me. He comes up. He has a friend come up, another chef, and I take him out fishing, and everything's fine. I take him out fishing, and the guy goes, I've been fishing up here for years, and I've never caught a salmon. I took them both out, and took a buddy of mine because they didn't have licenses, and we caught 4 salmon. We limited it out, at Port Townsend.
Yeah.
And I said, when I fish, I catch fish all the time. I said, Jonathan, 5 years ago, I caught 800 pounds of salmon. I got 3 freezers. I used to catch so many, so everything was fine then, and he was talking about coming up. He came up a couple times. They opened up a store here at Tacoma Mall. So he was here a week. So we seen him 3 or 4 times then. Took him to some housewarming parties. A friend of mine's got a $3 million house up here that I worked 3 years on, $600,000 worth of remodeling.
Oh my goodness.
And so I took him up there to Al's house, and we went to a party up there, swimming pool, hot tub, all that, right 100 feet up off the water. This is a magnificent house.
Yeah.
All the rooms are circles. Now, back in 1969, I had built the spiral stairs that went in the house and all the round skylights and everything for that place. When the architect came down and seen me in there, he goes, weren't you Paul Erickson's foreman? I go, yeah. He goes, well, you built all this, done all this woodwork. I go, yeah. And I happened to run into Al through a friend of mine that's a scrapper. He scraps out sea land containers and big stuff like that, Well, Al does some scrapping too, but Al had yacht sales in Gig Harbor. So this guy turned me on to Al, and what a deal, Yeah. Now Al lives down here in Lakewood on a golf course at Silicon Lake.
But you took your son to the big house and party there, and then what happened after that? It just didn't.
He came back here and everything was fine, and he left and went home. But then that deal, he didn't want to talk to me. Says I'm not not fit to be his father. And
Well, you know, he's got
some kind of problems.
He's got some things
he
dealing
called
with.
back and he apologized for that.
Good.
Yeah.
And he says, you know, and the problem that we have. And I said, problem we have, Jonathan, what is the problem we have? I said, I've been bugging you. Why? What is the problem here? But he won't answer me what the problem is, you know.
Well, his
And
mother's the problem.
Yes, I know, but I promised him I wouldn't say nothing about his mother. He supports his mother. Jonathan went in the army for about 3 months, and his mother got him out of the army by bugging him so much that they released him. They got tired of her calling and bothering him. That they gave him some kind of a discharge. It wasn't a dishonorable, some kind of discharge so he could support his mother. But now he's supporting
Hardship.
her. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Now she's been married 5 times. Got 5 different husbands. And she can't get no child support, or no, nothing through the government because she's never worked.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. When you graduated from AIT and it came time to go to Oakland and get on the plane, describe to me what you were feeling when you got on that plane and it was a long trip over to Vietnam. What were you thinking?
I knew I kind of knew I was going to come back because I'm a very positive person. And I know you can think things and make it happen. It's like when I split firewood, I'll get a piece that I can't split. And I'll look at that and I'll get it in my mind that that's going to split. Whap, pop, and it pops apart. I'm a believer in mind power.
Mm-hmm.
And it works, you know, and that's...
So you weren't worried about not coming home?
I was, but I wasn't.
Okay.
I'm a very positive person. I know this, if I die, it's not going to hurt.
Ah.
It boom, and it's over with.
Yep.
You know?
Let me ask you this. When you landed in Vietnam and they opened the door to the airplane, tell me what your impression was of Vietnam.
We landed in a cesspool, in a septic tank. Smelled like a septic tank.
I know.
Do you agree?
Oh, yes.
What did you say?
Everybody says the same thing.
Really?
Everybody says the same thing.
I got a buddy of mine, he died a couple of years ago.
And the heat and the humidity,
Yeah.
depending on what time of year you got over there.
A friend of mine, he goes over with these other vets, and they go to Bangkok every year. Or Thailand, I mean, every year, Bangkok. Well, they went this the year before he died, they went to Vietnam. They went to Bangkok, and they flew into Vietnam. And he goes, "You're right, Joe. That place is a cesspool. It stinks."
Yeah.
And they were sitting in a restaurant. He didn't take very many pictures. He took some pictures, and he looked at the water out there at the river. It was brown and mucky looking, you know.
Sure.
And I told him, yeah, it probably stunk. He goes,
Yeah.
yeah, it did, you know.
So you got to Long Ben eventually, and then you were waiting to get assigned.
Right.
When you got assigned to the Wolfhounds, had you heard anything about them, or did the guy?
No.
And you just basically wound up in Cu Chi at the company area.
Yeah.
And tell me what happened when you got there.
Well, they put me in. They said, we're going to keep you here for about a week, get you acclimatized. So.
Well, and didn't they send you through the little school, the little tropic school that they had in Cu Chi, where they'd show you booby trap wires or something like? You didn't go through that.
They didn't have none of that. No, they just sent us to our company, and then there was a bunch of black guys in our hooch, you know, like there was 4 or 5 hooches for every company, but they were all in one hooch. They were all smoking dope, you know. That's all they did. They were shamming, you know,
Shamming.
getting their profile. Get a profile so you don't have to go out there in the field.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with all of them, but it didn't seem to be nothing wrong with them there. And then they get mad at the white people, so they go down. They take an M16. They go down. They shoot the bar up, the tavern up, where they go and drink. Didn't make no sense to me, you know. But I went down there and I smoked some of their pot, and I got dog ass sick. They got me so high I went and puked my guts out.
Yeah, the dope in Vietnam was pretty high voltage.
Oh yeah,
it was pretty good.
But you know, we had a first sergeant that would let us smoke pot in the hard spots, big ones where you had artillery pieces and stuff. And it was
nothing when you leave the wire.
No, and we wouldn't smoke nothing. We wouldn't smoke nothing if we were in a hard spot. It had to be a fire support base.
Oh yes. Yeah.
You know, where you had your artillery pieces.
Yeah, like
there.
Shamrock would.
No.
Yeah.
No, we did not smoke it there. So, yeah. Anyways, we were in there, and we had artillery pieces out there, and we had these donut dollies, the girls that come out
Oh yes.
to do the little skits and stuff.
Sure.
And this Santa Claus comes over to our bunker. There was 7 or 8 of us in this bunker, and we were smoking pot. And the Santa Claus comes and says, "You guys get out here. You're all going to be under arrest. You're all smoking."
Santa said this?
Santa said that. Yeah, Santa, yeah, Santa. We're telling Santa where to go.
I wonder who
Well,
Santa was.
A 1-star general.
I was just gonna say, I'll bet Santa. I was just gonna guess
He
that.
comes out and he pulls off his beard and stuff. A 1-star general. So we're all at attention. My first sergeant comes over and he goes, "What seems to be the problem here, sir?" And he goes, "These guys are in there smoking dope." He goes, "I know it." And he goes, "I'm going to have them all arrested, take them to Coochie." And he goes, "I don't think so, sir." And he reaches over and grabs that general by his shirt. He says, "You're going with me, sir." And he walks him over to the helicopter. He puts him on the helicopter.
Oh,
He says, "Take him back to Coochie.
Santa
You
Claus
don't
suit and
belong
all.
here." That general, man, that made us feel so good.
Santa Claus suit and all.
Yep, Santa Claus suit. No, he grabbed him by the. "You come on with me, boy," and he ran him out of our perimeter.
Wow.
We had a black sergeant, first sergeant, that shaved his head, and he was stern. But I'll tell you what,
Was that Sergeant Farmer?
that might have been his name.
John Farmer.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that's
this
what it
was.
was.
I think that's what
Yep.
it was. That was one good first sergeant. He protected us.
Mm-hmm.
He was good.
He was a professional soldier. In
Yeah.
other words, I think he might have been World War II or at the end of that or Korea.
Mhm.
For sure,
He
Korea.
was fairly. Yeah, he was. I'm sure Korea.
A
He's
couple
fairly
of
old.
tours in Nam, I think, before
But
he wound up in Charlie
He
Company.
took care of us. If you were hurt or something, he'd give you the time off. I got drunk one time. I bought some whiskey from Papasan. I used to get the SPs that came out, so
Oh yeah.
I had all the cigarettes and candies and stuff. I traded a carton of cigarettes and some candy or something for some Papasan's whiskey. Me and this other guy, we got drunk on that. Half a bottle. We were sick drunk.
Was it the Everclear stuff? Was it the?
Well, it was rice whiskey.
That's oh god.
Oh God, it was something, and it
That
was in
was-
the big.
You know what?
Big-
That was rough.
Oh yeah, big bottle. We really got drunk. So the first sergeant didn't make us go out for 3 days after that. But the first sergeant, he's the one that took the bottle from us, drank it, and he says, "Man, that stuff gives you a terrible hangover."
Oh yeah. So what did they have you do when they took you from Coochie out to the field? You were probably at a fire sport base, I'm assuming.
Went out to Shamrock or something.
Okay,
like that.
yeah, it would have been Shamrock.
Yeah.
So did they say, "Here's your squad leader," or "You're going to do this or that"? What?
Yeah, and they introduced me to some of the people there, but I was an ammo bearer, of course, because the next morning we went out in the hot LZ. They said, "Saddle them up, we're going in the hot LZ." Well, I didn't know what to do, what to get, Well, they gave me 1 bandolier magazine, so I got 2 bandoliers then. I think, 6 magazines in a bandolier?
Yes.
So I had about a dozen of them. I ended up having 24 of them by the time everything was over with, and my big magazine. But they loaded me up with that. I was able to carry 600 rounds of ammo and about 4 or 5 flares. That's about all I could carry.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't carry nothing else, otherwise I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
So we went out firefight, and they dropped us in waist deep water. I'm going, where the hell is the enemy? All I see is a couple sticks sticking up here, and way on off I can see these riverboats and stuff way on out there, out of rifle range. Well, they were in a little
Canal?
in a hard spot there. We were in the swamp, and it was just some sticks sticking up. And it was just a berm, and they were inside there.
So how did you guys?
251 calibers. The gunships got them out of there finally.
Okay.
So we didn't
So
go
you
in
guys got to spend the day in the rice paddies.
in the water. Yeah, another company went in and got ambushed. They went in and they opened up on them, so they were pinned down in the water. I don't know how you get pinned down in the water. You just go the other way.
Do you remember a guy named Arnie Hendry? He turned out to be made the rank of E5 while he was over there. He was there the same time you were.
They put me in for E5 about the 2nd or 3rd week I was there, and the whole year, but they never gave it to me.
Yeah.
And at the very end, they told me, they says, "We're not giving it to you because you smoke pot."
Wow.
Because I became E4 after a couple weeks over there,
Yeah.
They said, "You smoke pot, and you're probably going to die. You're more than likely going to die, so why give it to you? We're going to give it to somebody in Coochie,
What other weapons did you carry besides the rifle?
Just my knife. Just that big knife. And
I mean, so you never carried the machine gun or a duper, nothing?
Point man don't have to carry nothing.
Okay.
Except his M16.
Okay.
I didn't have to carry no explosives,
Right.
no detonators, no nothing. All I carry is my magazines.
Were you at Shamrock the night that the B-40 rockets came in and exploded in the? Remember they had that fencing up, and a bunch of the guys in the second platoon, black guys, got killed in that one bunker.
I don't remember.
Doc Flores was the medic at that time.
I remember Doc Flores.
He was, and he got hurt really bad, and that was his exit out.
I was there, but I don't remember a lot of that stuff. You know.
Yeah.
Like you
Doc
say-
Flores was there, and how about Leroy Crabtree? Do you remember him? Okay. And Randock was there. Steve Randock.
You know,
Lanny Ross.
This one guy I went to, he was in basic training with me, and I think there's a picture. I'm not sure. I think there's a picture of him in the paperwork you sent me. But he was the one that was there like 6 days prior to leaving, and he took a bullet in the head, you know, by a sniper. Where we were at the time when they let me go in 7 days earlier. All we were is in an old rice paddy, and we dug in, you know, and the sniper. There was a hole over there, and the sniper was in the hole, and he killed the guy. Shot the guy.
A spider hole.
Yeah, in spider hole.
Yeah.
He shot the guy, and they sent some people around, and they threw a grenade at this guy in the bunker. Blew him out of the bunker, but blew his balls, dick, and everything off in his ass. And the medic, when they came in, said, he's going to live. Because the medics came into our perimeter, and they talked to him, and they said, yeah, that guy's going to live, that gook. You know.
I'm surprised somebody didn't just.
We used to have that happen with the helicopters. I captured one time. I captured not a paymaster, but an area master or leader,
Yeah.
and his guard, and we found them in the water with a straw.
No.
Yeah, and there was the dirt
Serious?
came up like this into a pond. It was probably an old bomb crater or something, but it was
Yeah.
full to the top.
Straw.
And they had a
reed.
reed.
It's a reed.
There was two of them, and a gunship spotted them. It was either the gunship or we were on an eagle flight, and they dropped us off, and one of them spotted it, told us go inside that pond. There's
Yeah.
a couple of gooks in there, so we did. I was one of them that went in there, and I grabbed the guy, the officer, and Sergeant Praw, I think his name was. That's the guy from California. He grabbed the guy that was the guard. That guard was just shaking. He was so scared. He thought he was going to die. He's just
Sure.
shaking, you know. We put him on a helicopter. We only got credited for one. The helicopter pilot told me later. He says, "Yeah, my assistants. He wasn't telling them what they wanted, so he grabbed the guard, chucked him out the door.
Yeah. He slipped on some transmission fluid.
Yeah, 1,000 feet up. He says, "Man, that officials start talking everything we want
Oh,
to
yeah.
hear, you know."
Yep.
So
Yeah,
that happened a couple times.
I saw that happen in the
Yeah,
time
that
I
happened
was
a
there
couple
too.
times to us.
Uh,
But it pisses you off when you don't get credited for two,
yeah.
body,
Right.
two
Yeah,
people
yeah.
that you captured.
Captures.
You know, you credited for one.
POWs or whatever.
So that means you got to wait for stand down.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. When was the first time that one of your guys got hurt or killed?
Second day in the field, we lost 12.
What? I mean,
12.
what was going through your mind?
Trying to stay alive.
Scared?
That was that firefight
Was,
we went
was
in
it
the
scared
water.
beyond scared? I mean, at that point?
You know, I got to where I got to where over there, when things would happen, I wasn't scared. I would do what I was supposed to do. Because if I'm standing here holding a gun, I'm telling you, I'm going to kill you, and you don't want to be killed. You're going to dive at me.
Mm-hmm.
You get an anti-fear.
Right, right.
You get mad.
Right,
You get pissed off mad. Being killing mad. No, and I'm going to go through your throat for your jugular vein, you know. And that's the way I used to get out there. No, I'm going to go out and I'm going to kill them dirty little suckers, you know. That's what I put in my mind.
What would you say your worst day in Vietnam was?
Okay. Every one of them almost. My worst day, probably when I had that jungle fever when we come back from Cambodia. Because I was laid up for 3 or 4 days.
Sicker than a
sleeping,
dog?
Sicker than a dog. I went over, when we come back in, I didn't even
Was
go to
that like dysentery, diarrhea, and all that stuff?
Yeah, I was puking and shitting.
Yeah.
And we got off the trucks. I was puking and shitting on the trucks, but somebody would give me another pair of fatigues. So I got off, I went in, and they gave me a couple shots, and I passed out. And they carried me over to my hooch, put me in a hooch, and it was like 3 or 4 days
You
later
must have been
before-
really sick.
I was really sick.
Yeah. Did you take an R&R?
Yes, I went to Hawaii.
Oh,
My
because
wife.
you were married.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about that. How did that go?
That was fun. Got to Hawaii and stayed in a motel most of the time.
Now, is that where your first child was conceived?
No,
No, I'm just.
he was conceived here. At home, yeah.
I'm just teasing.
Yeah. But we tried. We tried for 100 of them. It was great, you know.
And then you had to go back.
Yeah.
And you landed in Vietnam again, and it just all started over again. Did you go on R&R about your 6th month?
9th.
Oh, you didn't get to go till your 9th, so
Right.
you'd really seen a lot of crap.
Right.
So, did you say anything to your wife? I mean, did you?
I didn't talk about Vietnam. I didn't talk about Vietnam for years after I come back
Yeah.
from there. There's too many bad memories.
When's the first time you tried to approach the VA?
Probably in the 80s.
And did you get a good result, or?
I got the result I wanted because I was smoking pot, like I say, and I was selling a little pot, you know, back at the time. So my wife, she thought I should go to them and get cured. So I went to the
Or treatment or something.
Yeah, treatment. So I went out there and I talked to them, and they said, "Who put you up to coming out here and talking to us?" 'Cause I was straight, honest, forward with them.
Yeah.
I told them, "Yeah, I got pot and I buy it by the pound and I make money with it. It pays my rent, you know." And I told them, I said, "Yeah, I only was given like $500 for a kilo, and I was, you know, selling it all for, I don't know, a couple $3,000."
Sure.
And I says, you know, now is that common sense? That I'm making money, I'm paying rent, I'm not taking away. No, that puts food on the table
Yeah.
for my family. So he calls my wife over and says, you brought him to the wrong place. We can't do nothing for him. He hasn't got no problem. You must have the problem. They told her. So, oh God, she got all mad. And my hearing, I couldn't hear. I went in for hearing tests and they told me I had lost 57%
Yeah.
of my hearing. Well, she's telling me, we're driving home and the nurse says, "I'm going to stop a lot of arguments caused by your hearing right now." She says, "Linda, come here, I want to talk to you." So doctor's talking to her and telling her, "Yeah, Joe can't hear you. If you're in the kitchen and you say, 'Joe, this,' calling him for this and that, he cannot hear you even. He hears your voice, but he don't understand what you're
Right.
saying." So she goes, "Oh, okay, I understand that." So we get home, we're driving home, and she's saying something to me. I go, "I can't understand what you're saying. You're not looking at me." "That goddamn doctor was a liar." What do you do with a woman like that? You know? Divorce her.
Yeah.
I ended up divorcing her.
So, how many months did you serve in the Wolfhounds?
12.
So you were there
Two
the
of
whole
the day. 2 of the day. yeah.
Okay. And you told me you had another job towards the end. They sent you to the mortar platoon?
Yes, they put me in a mortar platoon. That was probably about 2 weeks before my coming home. Because it
Okay.
used to be a month they would put you in the rear. Well, they couldn't, they weren't going to let me go in the rear a month early because they needed me. They didn't have no people there.
That's the problem.
They
That was the
sending,
problem.
They stopped sending the people there. Going to quit the war. So we thought maybe they're going to send us home. No, they just don't send the people there.
Yeah.
You're short-handed. So, no, I went in the mortar platoon. They just said, "Go in the mortar platoon." Like,
Did you notice towards the end there, let's say 3 months before you got out, did you notice that the new guys coming into the platoon were from other units? Like the Big Red One or the 100?
No new ones, really.
You weren't getting
We're-
replacements?
We were small. We were real small.
Okay.
That-
Because I know as those outfits were drawing down, they weren't sending their guys home. They were just sending them to different
That
units.
just explained something to me. That explained a lot to me right there. Instead of sending us people coming from other units, they split our unit up. They took each platoon. You got 4 platoons.
Yep.
Three legs and 1 mortar.
Yep.
They put us in different companies. So what they did is they split our company up. They didn't remake our company.
That's
they,
what-
They
yeah.
just put our company.
Yeah.
So I went to a different company. Because that was about probably the 11th month, 10th or 11th month I was there, that all this came down. But yeah, they put us in a different company is what they did now. That I think
So did you come home in 71?
70.
At the end of
69, I went over there in 69.
and then
And 70, I come home.
what month in
It
70?
was July.
In
July
July.
8th.
Yeah, that's right.
July 8th.
Were you wounded when you were over there?
Nope. You know, the only thing that ever happened to me is when I jumped off a tangle boat, one of them river boats, the ones that got the door up front,
Mhm.
the door wouldn't come down, so we had to jump over the side. I sprained my ankle, and they wouldn't call in a chopper for me, so we had one guy that carried a shotgun, so he fired a round off for me, so I could take the empty cartridge, stick it over my flash, so I could use my gun as a crutch,
yeah.
and I wrapped it with some
Yeah.
medical tape,
Yeah.
you know, because I used it as a crutch. I figured if I have to shoot, it'll
Oh, no kidding.
blow that off there.
Not a problem.
But I was able to walk back 12 miles, you know.
Yeah. Were you given any awards or decorations
Oh
or
yeah,
anything like
yeah.
that?
I got the Air Medal, a couple Air Medals. I got a Bronze Star, a couple ARCOMs,
Mhm.
some of them.
Yeah.
I think two
All
ARCOMs.
all the Vietnamese stuff and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. When you came home, did you have any time left to serve?
Yes.
Where did you go?
6 months up here to Washington,
Fort
Fort
Lewis.
Lewis.
What did they have you do?
I was in with the Armored Personnel Carriers.
Oh.
APCs. So they put me in one of them companies, but they had a shortage on gas at the time, so at first we didn't get to drive around much. So after I was there a month or two, then they had to fire in Yakima to qualify. They got to do it every year, I guess.
Oh
with
yeah.
tanks.
Yeah.
So- I was the guy that shoves the bullet into the tank gun, you know.
Into the breach.
Well, our driver went AWOL. So the sergeant says, "Can you drive a tank?" I says, "I never drove a tank, but I've driven tractors. I've driven everything else." He goes, "We got 3
The
days."
laterals and the.
Yeah. He says, "We got 3 days for you to learn." No problem. So we're in Yakima. I got to play on a tank for 3
Cool.
days. Them things are fun.
Yeah.
So, you know, I drove that around, and we made first number one in our company firing in
Wow.
Yakima, which was cool.
Yeah.
Day and
That's
night.
why you can't hear anything.
It was from over at
No, but I know. But firing it
Yeah.
when you're in a PC or a
yeah.
tank, holy crud! Isn't it amazing they didn't even think of ear protection?
I know. We used
I mean-
to use cigarette butts, you know.
But I mean, it was nobody even mentioned it, right?
Right.
Uh,
Now you see it on TV.
Oh yeah. Now, what career did you pursue after leaving the army?
After I left the army, I came up here and I had machine shop abilities, you know, I worked in a machine shop, but I couldn't find. I didn't know where the machine shops were at, and I had some friends here that worked in the wood mills, so I went down to a wood mill and where they brought in lumber and turned it into columns and spindles.
Oh
And,
yeah.
but it's
So lathe work.
who?
Lathe.
Yeah, lathe work basically.
Yeah.
So then that company went bankrupt after, I don't know, 6 months. So the company that bought them out, they came to me and asked me if I'd go to work for them, moving equipment over there, because they knew I worked on a radio frequency gluer that glued these 8-foot long columns, like porch columns, and then they turned them on the lathe. Well, everything mechanical, I just catch on right now, you know. So I learned how to operate that machine, learned how to maintenance that machine. And so the right way, the millwrights, I'm working with millwrights at Mutual Fur Columns, so they figured I was a millwright.
Oh, for heaven's
Because
sake.
I don't know how I knew it, but I just knew how to work on them things. So I become a millwright. And it's that way with any kind of mechanicking things. I used to build Volkswagen powered 3-wheelers. I had 5 of them in the state
Oh, for heaven's
that I
sake.
built, that I sold to women. You know, I built a lot of things. Built dune buggies and Volkswagen dune buggies with the tube frames. I built some of them, you know, and they're fun.
As you know, when we were kids in California, dune buggying was big out in the desert. And they
My-
were all tube frame,
Yep,
homemade in the
that's what I learned.
backyard.
Big John, he used to make them. That's where I learned from.
I'll be darned.
My brother had a '53 Chevy.
Yeah.
Then he got a Buick. Then he turned into
Yeah,
a
a buddy of
dragster.
mine had one with a Corvette engine in it, but I mean, and that wasn't the point. The
Yeah.
point was is that it was just fun, you know,
Yeah.
the big tires
Yeah.
and
I had a '53 Chevy with a Corvette engine in it, and boy, was that sucker quick.
yeah, yeah.
You know, way back when.
When you came home, did you stay in touch with any of the buddies that you've served with in Vietnam?
No,
Not anybody.
no, because when I left Vietnam, there was only a couple people that I really knew in the company, because the people were being shifted around.
Everybody got switched around, like you said. They were sending everybody
Right,
to
and,
different places.
Yeah, everybody got switched around so badly. It's, you know.
Yeah, and I know in the platoon, it was probably in September, October, maybe it was even later than that, maybe November. Remember I mentioned an incident where they sent everybody out on a night ambush, and the new lieutenant walked them right into a ambush, and they shot B-40s at them and RPG'd them, and almost every man to a number
was that after you were there?
Yeah. Oh yes, yes.
Okay, that was there was 24 went out and 23 came back.
And they either wounded or dead.
Yeah.
And so in the hospital, this was told to me by these guys. They're all in the
In
hospital,
Pop Sans Hooch.
and they are so mad that they're already talking about how they're going to assassinate somebody. If the lieutenant didn't die from his wounds out there, they were going to assassinate him. And the nurse or something went and told one of the officers, and they got it. This battalion caught wind of it, and they came in, and they went and talked to every person, and they decided this is so bad, we're going to have to separate. So that was another one of those incidents where they took guys and put them in different units.
You
But
know,
morale must have been just absolutely nothing.
you want to know why they did that? Because we were spotting like 20 to 30 gooks a night. I had 32 gooks walk through my ambush from me to that wall away, and I was the only one awake because we were having 3-man ambushes.
Oh my!
They were sending us out in 3-man.
You'd never have pulled the trigger.
No,
Not
hell
on
no.
that.
Every one of them looked at me, and I looked at them, and none of them. There was only 2 or 3 of them that had AKs. The rest of them, all they had was packs.
Oh, they were mules.
They were mules, yeah, pack horsing. Now that was towards the end of my tour there, because that's just before that big firefight when I went in the mortar platoon. But at the time, the reason why them guys all got shot like that is we were going out in 3-man ambushes, which was totally insane, because we were seeing gooks galore. Well, there was some rice paddies here. It was 1,100 yards off. I paced it because I had a sniper with me one night, and he killed 2 gooks out there at 1,100 yards. It was him and me awake. We were 3-man ambushes. I had 3 men back here in the graveyard, and us 4 up here. And what the lieutenant did not like, and he was going to have me court-martialed for it. But last time he talked to me, he told me I was a hero because I saved his fucking life.
Oh wow!
Is I grabbed all the RPGs, there were 6 of them, laid them up because I seen 32 of them walking towards us. And they're coming closer, and they come closer. And they got about from here to that house across the street. And I think they seen us, and they turned. I had every one of them Law's rockets open. But prior to that, like the day before, he shot 2 gooks at 1,100 yards. He shot one. I said, "What the hell are you shooting at?" I just dumped a gook back there. I said, "I'm watching that field. There ain't no gooks out there." He goes, "Look at back at the tree line." And they were in the tree line, and he goes, they're picking the guy up. And I'm looking at they're picking the guy up, and he goes, "I'm going to take the guy out on the left." Whew, the guy on the left, he goes flying. So we don't see no more the rest of the night. And we go out there the next day. The only thing left was a set of shower shoes.
Oh,
Everything was gone.
Oh wow!
Now these 2 gooks were not packing big packs. So anyways, they were gone. It was a couple 3 days later after that we were not going to go out on them 3-man ambushes. Not after. I didn't tell anybody except some of the people that were with me, and that lieutenant knew that them gooks walked through. Because I think he spotted them also.
Yeah.
He was on the backside of the ambush, one of the 3. So, anyways, we didn't say a word about it, and we were all teaming together. We'd all go out like we're supposed to our ambush sites, and we'd all come together. That way we got some sleep. And they went into Papa San's hooch, took Papa San sea rations, cigarettes, and gave Papa San presents. Papa San would go down in your bunker and sleep in your bunker. And Papa San says he was happy. He was good with it. They shot RPGs in the bamboo right there. And only one guy came back that night. Because I didn't have to go out because I was out there the night before. So they brought all the weapons back, and you know, they never fired a shot off. But it got 20, I think it was 23 out of 24. The guy that came back, he had one piece of shrapnel in his butt, but they put a Band-Aid on it, and he stayed out in the field. You know?
Wow.
So they're probably talking about killing
Oh, that
the
it
lieutenant
was.
that was.
It was bad. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the lieutenant that sent him out there.
Yep.
Because you don't go out in a 3-man ambush when you're seeing all these people.
Yep.
Because we were just, all of a sudden, on a clear blue sky, every day we were spotting gooks, and they weren't like their troops. They were packing ammo. We knew something was going to come down.
They were
It was probably a couple of months prior.
stockpiling it.
Yeah, stockpiling it, because we were closer to, you know, where they were going when they, you know, opened up the ambush on the other company that we pulled support for.
Does the name Lieutenant Hibbard ring a bell? Because he would have been in the platoon the same time you were. He wasn't there very long.
None of them were there very long.
Yeah.
But you know, a couple of them lieutenants that were there, they thanked me after that. They thought that was a cream. They thought I was doing something wrong. What I do is, you know how the graves are above ground.
Oh yes.
And the lids on them are probably about that thick. I take that lid and I put it between two grave sites, and that's where I'd set my machine gun. I set my machine gun in the grave because it was usually that far down.
Sure.
The machine gun would sit there, so the barrel was only sticking out over, and that's where we fire from.
Yeah.
Because we opened up a 9 gooks one night, and we got 3 of them, and the machine gun never left the hole, but the gunner stood up, and he got 5 or 6 rounds. They fired right at that machine gun. That's why I put it up there.
Oh yeah.
But the dumb bastard stood up. He should have just fired from there, you know. And that's they left one of their guys booby trapped.
When was the one time in Vietnam that you thought you were going to get it? You'd had it.
When the company commander stepped on that mine, and I had my knife on it underneath that sardine can. Actually, it wasn't a sardine can; it was some kind of a mine. It had a detonator on top, you know. And I go underneath. I'm looking for a piece of det cord, because that what they were doing was putting det cord out to a 105 or some other kind of round.
Yep.
And you heard they were doing that over there too.
Oh yeah.
Probably. So you don't just blow up a booby trap if it's down in the ground a ways, because they dug it down for a reason, you know, to put it in there. It's big, so you want to make sure there's nothing else around it.
Yeah.
You know.
And they were trying to catch PCs and tanks with those things too.
Right. Well.
And they were pretty successful actually.
Yeah, and these tank mines were old. They've been in the ground for years.
Oh my gosh.
They weren't fresh. So somebody had taken that tank mine out, or whatever it was, the mine that was up on the ground where I was probing was about that big around and that tall. Ones out in the field were about that.
Yeah.
You know, and they had top detonators on them.
So that was the one day that you thought this could be it.
Yeah. When that went off, I knew I was dead. I turned and looked and I seen that part of a body, and quarter of a body. I thought for sure I was dead.
Yeah. So, is there anything else about your tour in Vietnam that I haven't mentioned that was significant to you?
A lot of snakes. A lot of big snakes.
Pythons?
Another time, I was in in our holes in the ground where we were at, and we sent a patrol out, and we had another brand new lieutenant, and he found a paymaster and a guard, and they were dead. Artillery probably got them because you know how they fire at night.
Yeah. H&I.
They said there was some great big holes in their head, look like shrapnel got.
Oh yeah.
Well, they had a box which was about 1.5 by 1.5 by 1.5. Opened up, it was money. 330,000. Because I helped count it. First sergeant had 3 of us.
American?
No, South Vietnamese.
Wow.
So we counted it. They had 3 more guys count it. 3 more guys count it. Then they had the officers count it. It was $330,000. Well, it went back. The general came out and got it. he went back in to the rear, and this lieutenant wanted the Walters P-38 that Duke was carrying.
Yep.
That thing stunk so bad. I said, man, you should have just left it there. And I told my point man, I said, why didn't you frag him? Shoot him or something, and keep some of that money. He gave it all to turned it all in. $33,000 is all we got credited for.
Oh man.
It was a block of money.
Guess what happened to the other money?
It was bills, yeah. He got pocketed.
Wow, that's awesome.
300,000
Where did you see most of your snakes?
everywhere. A lot of them in wells. Or wells over there. When we were walking out, and one time we were knee deep to waist deep, and the grass was just sticking up a little ways. This one area, and I was left, and the other point man was right. And I walked up on a dry spot, and here was a 20-foot boa
Oh yeah.
laying there,
Yeah.
a carcass, dead carcass. And then all of a sudden I hear M16 going off, and my other point man shot one. He was taking off away from him, so he shot it. So the company commander comes up, puts a couple rounds in with a 45. Goes on the paper that the company commander saved the patrol that day.
Oh, for heaven's
He shot this big lethal snake that was going to kill them all. Yeah, right.
So, what have you done as a career, I would say, over the last 50 years? Is there something that you did for 30 years, or?
Well, I worked in the wood shops, and then like what you see around here, in here, the woodworking. Done a lot of woodworking.
Okay.
It's even like the shelves, that Chorito. It's all Chorito wood.
Were you just an independent contractor guy? Did you just work on? So you just worked on your own?
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
I had a contractor's license, and
Okay.
I went around remodeling people's houses and, working, fixing things. At first, it started out as basically repair, till I got my clientele, and then I started picking up some pretty good clientele, doctors, lawyers, and stuff like that, to where I was doing remodeling, and like I say, $600,000.
Yeah, they can write the check usually too.
Oh yeah, and they don't care how much it is.
Yep.
So I made some pretty good money there. To tell you how good it was, I divorced in '97. My wife, when she left, I was broke. Right now, I got $750,000 in the bank.
Good saver.
Yeah, I'm a good saver.
But you made.
But that's from
you made good money.
That's from '97. Yeah, I was making cash money most of the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
And I stuck $600,000 away.
Yeah, that's great.
Since '97. I thought that's pretty darn good.
You bet.
I wanted a 401k. Well, there's my 401k.
Yeah. I want you to look into that camera right here,
Okay.
and I want you to tell, what does your wife mean to you?
My wife means my life. I love her dearly. She's the best thing that has ever happened to me.
I was going to ask you this, if, maybe someday your son might watch this. Maybe he won't, but maybe he will. Is there anything you'd want to say to him that he'll remember forever? Anything at all you'd want to share with him?
Well, I want to tell him I love him, and I'll always love him no matter what he does. Just so I can get things straight to where he'll talk to me, like a man. Yeah. And he's a big man. He's 6'7". He's got a damn good job. He goes around opening up all these stores for the Cheesecake Factory.
You're proud of him?
I'm very proud of him. Very proud of him. I'm mad at him because he's doing what his mother wants him to do. His mother's got him handpicked, and what can you do? You can't stop loving him.
Mm-hmm.
He is my son.
Mm-hmm. What is your definition of a hero?
It's not John Wayne. A hero is somebody that saves lives, don't take lives. These people that they go out and they kill a bunch of people, they say that's a hero. That's not a hero. Anybody can go out and kill. A person that saves lives is a hero.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask, I know where you're going, but I just a funny thought. Did you guys ever eat those snakes? Did you ever
Yeah.
take them and cook them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I heard
I've
because
cooked rattlesnake before.
yeah, and because guys would say that they'd kill them and then it'd be good eats.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a? So when you said you were there for a year, so you celebrated Thanksgiving and Christmas there, and what was that like?
Christmas, we had Bob Hope. I was
Really,
lucky
you got
enough.
to go see him?
I got to see him.
Wow.
Yeah, that was great.
And was he in Coochie?
Yep, he was in Coochie.
Yep.
That man, he's dynamite. He's an angel.
Yeah, we saw him too, and I'll never forget it.
Yeah, that meant the world to us. You know.
But
Well, you know-
how was the food for Thanksgiving or Christmas? Did they give you?
I don't remember.
You know?
Food over there wasn't no good.
Yeah.
The food was terrible, as a matter of fact. And we had this one general come in, and he says, "I'm going to change that, but I'm out in the field, so I don't know." You know,
Yeah.
he ate some of the food, and it was, you know, they take good food and they ruin it. When I woke up after being asleep for 3 days or 4 days, after coming back from Cambodia, there, my XO took me right to the mess hall and told the sergeant, says, "This guy, he's been asleep for 3 days. He needs some good food and not the stuff you're serving us." So he cooked me up steaks, ribs, and he made me 3 or 4 meals, and I ate it all right there. You know, it was good.
And it wasn't as though they didn't have the good food.
Right, they have the good food, but they're made, you know, with
It didn't trickle down to us very often.
right. Yeah, because you know, on the field you get powdered eggs, and they bring them out, and you put them in a paper plate. That's a good meal.
Did anyone ever send you a care package from home?
Oh yeah,
What'd you get?
my mom used to send me fruit cakes, and
Those
Yeah.
are pretty good, huh?
my sister sent me some oranges one time, and they got there, and they were all fermented.
Oh,
Took a month to get there.
Would you guys, some of your buddies, would you share or would they
yeah.
share? And
Everybody shared over there when you got stuff like
did
that.
you guys play a lot of cards?
In basic and AIT, yeah.
How about out in
Not no. No. When you got to sleep, you slept. You know, because you come back. If you weren't going to sleep, you had
yeah.
sandbag detail.
Oh yeah.
tell me, sorry, you got me all wound up now, but tell me the value of your poncho liner.
The poncho liner that was part of us. Poncho liner and the poncho, they're both part of us. The poncho you made your hooch with. The poncho liner you covered up, wrapped up with. That's what the snakes.
Your security blanket.
Snakes. When you're on ambush, you take your poncho liner with you, the light one, and you wrap it up in.
Keep you.
And the snakes like to crawl in there too, believe it or not. I woke a guy up, and he had a 6-foot snake coming out of there, and he woke up and the snake, and he freaks out. I said, "Hey, calm down, you're on ambush, you know."
At Shamrock, Sergeant. Oh gosh, I just drew a blank. With the Cobra, Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
Sergeant Garcia had a Cobra slide right up next to him, and he didn't know it. He was laying on, sleeping on the ground on the poncho liner, and when he rolled over on it, and it bit him. And they had to he got really sick.
Yeah.
And they medevaced him out. But yeah, so they were
spitting cobras there.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, he said he thought he was going to die.
Yeah.
The venom on those things.
I came in from ambush one time, and we were having free fire every night to cut the hedgerows down, you know, the bamboo. So I come in my bunker, and I got my ammo boxes, I got my air mattress, and I take this one spot, and I stick my starlight down. Starlight pops back up. Push back down, pops back up. Whoa! It's a cobra looking at me right in the face.
Man.
So he's
geez.
pushing it back up. So I get out of the bunker, and there was 3 of us that got in, and one guy was already in there asleep. We got out. We finally woke him up, and I was going to throw a frag in there. And first sergeant said, "You're not throwing no frags in this perimeter. You get them out with your rake and your fork, or pitchfork." So we got everything out of there. It took us a couple hours.
Jeez.
And he kept going from box to box. He was 6 foot 2 inches long.
Wow.
And I had the rake. This other guy had the shovel. We got him out. And finally was able to get him right in the head. And then we pulled him out, chopped the head off, and took pictures of it. We ate him.
Wow.
It wasn't very good, but.
Did you bring any pictures home with you from Vietnam?
Yeah, and the computer ate them all.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. What does the American flag mean to you?
United States. you know, it's the United States, our motto or our flag.
Do you look back? Are you proud of your service?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, good.
I'm proud of what I did because I did it for the country, you know.
Yeah, good.
I wasn't going to be, I'm not a shammer. I'm not like them other guys, you know, that they want to get, their foots don't work right, so they want to stay in the rear.
Do you know that I forgot, until you said it, I forgot the word profile. But that's exactly what they used to call it, if you could get a profile.
Get a profile.
Yeah,
So you didn't have to go on the field.
I forgot that word even.
And you
I
go
forgot
back,
that.
you go back into the base camps, and you got all these black guys in there that are on profile.
Yep. Let me ask you this.
Now, I'm not down on black people,
Yeah.
Ward, because there was a couple of them that were my good friends out
Yep.
there.
Oh, yes. What advice do you have for generations to come?
Stop wars. There shouldn't be no wars.
Anything else? You're the type of guy that I would think would really be heavy on work ethic and
Yeah, I am,
staying
but
to it.
you know, we only know what we know, and I don't know how to talk to politicians and people like that. I am not good with words. I sometimes say the wrong things when I'm trying to explain, and it comes out wrong. You know, so sometimes I have to watch what I say around people, because just around family and stuff, I'll say the wrong thing and not even realize it,
Yeah.
you know. So it's
Is there anything else, Joe, that I haven't mentioned that would be important to you to have on this tape? Anything?
What's the tape? What we can do with the tape?
It's going to go on our website.
Okay. Well, you know, for us, we're old. We've gone through it. I wish it'd be nice if they just disarm all these countries, and we should, you know, war is dirty.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing good about war, and there's nothing nice about war. And people say, well, they're breaking laws when they do wars. No, there's no such thing as laws in war.
Yeah.
You know, it's
When I was going to come back, when you left Vietnam, did you fly home on a military plane or a commercial?
commercial. They were all commercial.
Do you remember, were the stewardesses old or were they young?
I don't remember that.
It was nice to see him though. Wasn't it?
Probably older. And do you remember the voucher and the steak dinner? Did you eat your steak dinner?
At
I don't
Oakland?
remember.
Yeah, they gave you. Do you remember the stewardesses cheering for you and all that, and all the light hit fun and that on the plane? You don't.
No. When we first went on the plane going over there, they told us, sit down. If you screw up, we'll take you off in Japan and you'll go to jail. You know, 'cause we're not gonna mess around with you guys.
I
'cause we know
remember
you don't
my
wanna go.
plane ride over was really quiet. I mean,
Yeah.
there wasn't
was dead
anybody.
silence.
I mean,
Yeah, that's how it was. With
it
me.
was really
It was silent.
dead
The way
silence.
home, it was dead silence too. 'Cause everybody's, are we really going there? Are we really
Yep.
live? You know.
Remember the feeling when the plane actually got off the ground?
I love the feeling of, I love the
Yeah.
G's that pulls when a
Yeah.
plane takes off, but
Guys, never forget that freedom flight home. Never forget it. Well,
Yeah.
Joe, what a pleasure. I am so glad
I'm so glad to meet you.
that I finally got to meet you in person, and thank you so much for, the service that you did, and